Hello and welcome to Band of Bettors, a betting show for sports fans looking to be more data-driven. I'm here with Spencer Kronthal. We are the two co-founders of Alloy Sports. Spencer, a great time of the year. We're in the midst of the fall season, and as you can tell by my button down, you're obviously buttoned up as usual. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Another awesome week of football. Had some last-minute comebacks, some games coming down to the wire. Another awesome week.
Absolutely. And really no better place to start than with our opening act. What was your favorite moment from week 6, Spencer?
Yeah, I'm seeing Cincinnati start to get back on track. Joe Burrow with the 300-yard performance, 3 touchdowns, and Jamar Chase getting back to being Jamar Chase, breaking off, shorter throws into massive touchdowns. I'm looking at the game winner going down the sideline after breaking it past the corner. Jamar Chase is back. Joe Burrow looks back, coming off a last 2-minute win. Cincinnati's starting to resemble the team they were last year.
Absolutely. And really was a fantastic week. But my favorite moment of week 6 came from the biggest game of week 6. And that was the rematch between the Bills and Chiefs, much hyped up, and it did not disappoint. I'm giving my credit to the Bills defense finally coming through at the end of the fourth quarter. They couldn't do it last year in the divisional round of the playoffs. Heck, they couldn't even do it at the end of the first half, allowing Kansas City to come down with, I think, 12 seconds this time. Harrison Butker made a 62-yard field goal to tie the game at the half. But at the end of the game, they took the lead again. Josh Allen willing them to that lead. The defense was able to close it out. Teron Johnson with the interception. I don't think this clears every misfortune that they had that they felt last year, but it definitely feels good to get that monkey off the back and finally defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. A great win for Buffalo, who's now just one loss on the season, and they take full steam ahead as they look to get that 1 seed in the AFC for this year. A strong looking Buffalo team.
And I think to add to that, if you look at this game, Buffalo came out the victor, but I think looking at both teams, it's very clear to me who the top 2 teams once again are in the AFC. Buffalo got the win this time. Kansas City's not looking too shabby either. Obviously, the Mahomes pick late, but if I'm the rest of the AFC, I'm pretty concerned because I know that Buffalo's at the top of their game, and Mahomes, Kansas City, they're doing what they've done for the last few years. Nothing's changed.
So you see those two teams being 1-2 punch in the AFC yet again this year?
That's how I see it. I see the two offenses just being astronomically above everything else that's being put out there. And you've got the 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game at essentially the height of their powers.
Yeah, if you didn't get in on Josh Allen for the MVP yet, you might be a little late. He has been phenomenal. And every big game, he just shows up, whether it's with his arm, his legs. I mean, his receiving core just absolutely loves him. Listening to Stephon Diggs chat post-game, I mean, they are all in on the Bills this season. That's going to be a tough team to topple in the AFC. So let's go to last week. We'll look at our bet stamp receipts. These are the games we bet on. Spencer, start with you. You don't need to take too long here. Not your finest week.
Yeah, we're gonna move on quickly. The doubling on each bet was a glitch on my part. It was meant to be one game on each. Jacksonville, I'm a little salty about. If all they had to do was hold him to a field goal at the end, and they would have covered for me at +2.5. But I had to give up the late touchdown throw deep from Matt Ryan to lose that one. Carolina, tried to go with the numbers, should have just dug a little bit deeper. Baker wasn't playing. Look back into that. And on Dallas, Philly came to play. Jalen Hurts with the game sealing touchdown in the fourth quarter put that one out of reach. But I think with Dallas, we're looking for the return of Dak Prescott. So we'll move on for next week from me. I know you did a lot better.
Carolina, it's tough. I mean, in the NFL, it's tough to lay, a lot of points. I get it. 10.5 points is a lot. You feel that an NFL team should be able to cover that. But Carolina, they are the worst team against the spread this year. They're now 1-5. Just a bad team. Interim coach. You saw the debacle on the sideline last week with Robbie Anderson and interim coach Steve Wilks. Anderson has since been traded to Arizona. So not a lot going good in Carolina. So let's mix it up. Let's send it back to the receipts for my picks this week. So here we go. Here's my picks from last week. 2 and 3 week, and I'm just so mad about that Chicago game. I think we discussed last week about how I have no confidence betting in Washington or Chicago, both of those teams. It always seems logical when that game comes up as a play, especially when we run our strategies and you have a play there. Last week, it started with Washington as the underdog, and then it flipped to Chicago, I think maybe late Wednesday or early Thursday morning. So I made a late play in that game. I like Chicago at home. Between Justin Fields and Carson Wentz, I liked Justin Fields at home, and they couldn't get it done. They had a drive at the very end of the game. They got within the 10-yard line. I think they're at the 6 or 7. And for 4 downs, they couldn't punch it in. Mooney with a late drop could not get into the end zone there on 4th down to end the game. And I just feel stupid for taking this game because I said to myself, don't ever bet on Chicago or Washington. They always let you down when you do it, and they did not disappoint. Atlanta, though, happy with that bet. 6-0 ATS this year. Still the best team and undefeated when it comes to covering the spread. Very impressed with that group and Arthur Smith. Wasn't too hot on him to begin the year, but, with Marcus Mariota and that offense, especially without Cordarrelle Patterson, Atlanta's playing good ball, and they're keeping it close, even the games they don't win. So they could be a tough team to reckon with. Tampa Bay, didn't see that coming. That's 2 weeks in a row. Pittsburgh has absolutely shocked me. This was more of what I expected Pittsburgh, with their grit to play against Buffalo. But this week they had nobody. They had a bunch of the secondary injured. Tampa Bay came off a tough game the week before where they barely beat Atlanta. I thought they'd have a lot more manpower and firepower against a really struggling Pittsburgh team that lost Kenny Pickett. So that was crazy that Tampa Bay couldn't even get the win. Pittsburgh on the money line. Big win for them. Didn't see that coming. And then Jacksonville. Thought that would be a game where they would right the ship, and they're falling back into a spot where they don't like to be, and that's infamy. Seattle, they took care of business. They've been a pretty fun team to watch this year with Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker Jr. Holy cow. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a stud. He looks like he's running still at Michigan State. So 2-3 week, a tough week, to bet against the data. We saw a lot of regression this week, but, looking forward to, next week and seeing how those games play out. So, I not too mad. 2-3 week, not the worst. A little bit under, but was a little bit over all my Sunday picks last week. So this week looking to take it to that next level. But there was one really fun play last week, and it happened on Monday night, and it was from DraftKings. So they offered a promo, and I'm going to share it with you. They offered a promo for Justin Herbert just to throw a touchdown, and it went from -800 to +100 before the game. And he didn't hit it. I mean, this was like free money. You're playing Denver. Everyone I know got in on this. What happened here? And would you believe when you saw this promo offer that it was legit? I mean, to throw one touchdown with the offense that the Chargers have, as good as Herbert is, what did you think when you saw this?
It seems like a gimme. This is why they're doing it. Essentially, viewing that as a basically, a giveaway. Those bet 50 get 150. Types of giveaways, or bet 5 get 150. I think I saw the other day. So to have that not hit is pretty shocking. Obviously, Herbert's numbers this year haven't been extraordinary or what we've expected him to do. But at the end of the day, it's one passing touchdown. He's hit that every game this year, and probably a decent amount going back last year as well. So I think DraftKings was probably pleasantly surprised to see that. But shocking to see Herbert not be able to get to that reach, especially against Denver.
I mean, it's not like they promoted it all week long either. I'm pretty sure it just popped up on Monday afternoon before the game, and it was like, what's going on here? This seems like free money, like when you just sign up for a sports book. Like, hey, if a certain team hits a 3-pointer tonight in the NBA, you'll win $100. Like that type of promo. It seemed like a gimme. He didn't hit it. I mean, the book scored big. At least DraftKings did on that promo last night. They got to be loving that they're in their headquarters. But, that was a game last week that I didn't have any confidence in. Our strategies, they like Denver. Our 2 preloaded strategies, the Road Grader and Peanut Punch, both like the Broncos +4.5. It's one of those where I'm like, okay, my intuition's telling me not to get in on this. And Denver hits. So it's one of those where, you just trust the data. And as it plays out throughout the season, if you've got good strategies, you're going to come away profitable. So, I didn't see that coming. I didn't think they'd stay close. Russell Wilson has been the opposite of cooking this season. But that's what shows when you build good strategies and they have winning results. You just got to stick to it, right?
Absolutely, got to play the long game. You can't go the ups and downs of each week. Last week I think we had a very successful week. This week not as profitable, especially on my front. But it's about playing the numbers. You have a 60% hitting strategy. Losing 4 is commonplace. It's going to happen with the numbers. You just got to stick with something that's trusted in the data and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. So that brings us to our favorite part of the show. It's our weekly forecast segment. And I'm going to introduce a new model that I'm trying to roll out this week. It's pretty much how I've been making my bets and plays for the past few weeks. And it's called ensemble betting. And ensemble betting is when you're taking the analytics from multiple strategies, whether it's, user driven or AI driven, whatever, and taking the aggregate of those strategies from the games to bet. So this week, I've got a few really good strategies that have been hitting. And of those strategies where I see the same games hitting in multiple strategies, that's where I'm putting my bets in for this week. And I actually have a good amount of games to play here. So, Spencer, what do you think of that ensemble betting? And that's a little bit of a strategy that we like to use as we build multiple different strategies that have, different factors, different stats, different filters. When you have the same game hitting in different strategies, it seems like a smart play to make, right?
Yeah, I think it ups the confidence. You look at that, if you got 2 strategies that are based off different factors, they're each hitting 60% of the time, and they're both calling out the same game, it means you're onto something. And I think it gives you that extra confidence where, you're not just looking at running factors or maybe defensive statistics, but you've got passing factored in and of itself. And to see the same team pop up across multiple characteristics, which you can do obviously pretty easily with the app, it just further bolsters the logic behind why they should cover or win that game.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start getting going here. And the first game I like is New Orleans plus 1.5 at Arizona. And I'll share this. The road grader strategy has hit 57% over the past 3 years. It likes New Orleans. The Yeah Boy strategy, and all these forecasts are in our backlog of our insights page, so you can read what's in them too. So our Yeah Boy strategies hit it 60% over the past 2 years, likes New Orleans. Our Bet Me Consistently strategy hit it 70% since last year, likes New Orleans. And the ground and pound strategy that's hit it 61% over the past 3 years, likes New Orleans. So I have 6 save strategies right now on my screen. That's 4 of them, and they all like the Saints. They all have different factors. I'm going New Orleans plus 1.5. The key factor here is does Jameis return? And this is where, once again, coming in on a Tuesday is a really nice spot to be. The line's like halfway there. If he returns, I could see this line going down, maybe taking it closer to that even mark, that pick'em style. That's the key play if it's Jameis versus Andy Dalton. But I like New Orleans as my first game of the week. Next game I like is Indianapolis, plus 2.5 at Tennessee. Tennessee is very good coming off a bye under Mike Vrabel. This one's where I'm going to let the data, try and prove me right. My intuition might lean towards Tennessee off a bye, but Indianapolis has looked pretty good. Matt Ryan, after that last week of debacle against the Broncos, really proved me wrong against Jacksonville this week. I like the big receivers, Pittman and Pierce. I'll let the data decide this game, and I'll throw my money with the data to back me up. So third game I like is the Jets. They are playing some great ball, and I really like this game. The Jets are plus 3 at Denver. Give the ball to Breece Hall. Man, he looks incredible. Potential rookie of the year running back for the Jets. Zach Wilson, he didn't even have to do much. He barely had over 100 yards passing last week in a blowout against the Packers. Really surprising game to go on the road. Robert Saleh really getting those guys together. Denver hasn't played that great, but they surprised this past week. But the Jets plus 3. This may be a money line play too. All depends if they get that running game going. Fourth game I like is, unfortunately for us, being Baltimore natives. Cleveland plus 6.5 at Baltimore. Nick Chubb had a down week last week. I can only expect he's going to bounce back this week in week 7 against a struggling Ravens defense. Here's the deal. We both know it. The Ravens have been terrible, atrocious, disaster in the second half of games. So Baltimore, I would expect them to get off to a nice lead as they usually do, but it doesn't seem to matter when the second half, when they have 10 plus double digit point leads, they're blowing them. I can see this being a close finish, especially being a divisional game. Baltimore's defense, especially in the linebacker and defensive line front, not very strong. So I like Cleveland to cover the spread, at least in this game. And then my last game is the Giants +3 at Jacksonville. Again, this is hitting multiple strategies using that ensemble betting theory. Dayball's got him going. Saquon looks elite. Daniel Jones, I mean, he's not too bad when he has a lot of time in the pocket. The O-line's been good enough to give him that. A strong comeback win. They're just a young team that continues to build confidence. Jacksonville, a young team that seemingly losing some confidence, though they are playing hard. Give me the Giants +3 at the Jaguars. Those are my week 7 forecast plays.
Awesome. I think I see a lot of overlap with what you were doing this week, Brad. And for my strategy, I'm looking at, a system that has back tested pretty well over the last 4 seasons, going back to September 2018. Got a nice 11% ROI for close underdogs, 9% for heavy underdogs. Basically factoring in teams that get after the quarterback. I want teams that are sacking, getting pressure on the other side and also being able to run the ball. Let's close out the game. Let's keep it close if needed. So the teams I'm looking at, good amount of overlap. I like New Orleans over Arizona, especially after your point on ensemble betting. Let's add another strategy in there. I like the Giants to cover over Jacksonville. Giants are hot. They're playing great. And then this one is where, I'm thinking about some intuition about this. Not sure how it's going to fare, but San Fran over Kansas City. I'm going to throw it in there because it's running with the strategy. But as we move towards the heavy underdogs, I'm liking Atlanta to stay clean, +6 at Cincy. Washington, I like to stay away from them, but I'm going to see Green Bay is really struggling. Let's see if Washington can cover at +5.5. And then finally, Houston and Pittsburgh, both at around +7 right now. Houston at Las Vegas and Pittsburgh at Miami. And I'm also taking a different approach from last week where I only had 3 games I was looking to bet. If odds aren't necessarily in your favor, even if you're hitting 60%, maybe you'll win 2 out of 3. But there's so much room for a chance when you're betting 3 games. This week, I'm going to bet a bunch more and look for that winning record to come through.
Let's hope that comes through and doesn't just follow the trend of last week. But that's completely right. I mean, the NFL, people, it's hard to bet. NFL is the hardest sport to bet and win at consistently. And that's where our data can come in and really help you out. It's based off your own intuition. You put factors you think lead to winning on the app, and we spit out in different value parameters, whether a closer, heavy underdog, closer, heavy favorite, where's the best value for you to get in and which games to bet at. That's where we come in and help you, where you can get those 60% success ranges over the past 3, 4, 5 years. That's where we separate ourselves, and it's so easy to use. So come in, use Alloy, use the data, help back up your picks, and help you win more money. And that's what our goal is there. And it's been working for us this season. So we're looking for a little bit of regression from last week for this week and get some good numbers there. So, if you want to bet, and you're not in a legal state, or you just don't want to throw down too much money because, you're a little tepid or nervous, we have a solution for you too, okay? So we have our own pick and pool, and this lets you pick all the games for each week. It's totally free, and at the end of the week, we're giving away prize money. So got to give a call out. Aplout9, he is our week 6 winner. He'll be winning $100 prize. Got 10 points, and he won the tiebreaker. So Aplout9, great job. Join this. It's on our Twitter page. We pinned it there. So you can join our weekly pick'ems. That's a great way to get in, throw some, picks down, get confidence, growing your strategies and your bets, and then, have the chance to win a weekly prize at the end of each week. It's really fun, interactive, and it's totally risk-free. Spencer, before we close, I think one really fun thought to do, like we do in the pick'em, is we have 3 best bets. Do you have one game in particular where you feel really confident of it hitting this week?
Yeah, I think, as I look at the games for next week, taking the picks from my strategy, one game that I think I feel pretty good about is Atlanta. I think Atlanta's starting to come into their own. I think you look at what Arthur Smith is doing with Mariota, he's simplifying things. Mariota went 13-14. He had the 2 passing touchdowns plus the 1 rushing touchdown. Is Arthur Smith the go-to guy to resurrect, broken quarterbacks, we'll call them? Did it in Tennessee with Tannehill. Are we starting to see it come in with Mariota where the confidence is starting to be gained?
I thought you liked Cincinnati.
I like them coming around as a team, but I think I like Atlanta to cover with a 6.5 buffer.
I like it. I mean, Atlanta, every time the spread has been out there, they have covered in one of my strategies this week. As you can see, it likes Atlanta. That's my yeah boy strategy. So I like that pick. It's interesting that they are 6-0 against the spread, and yet they still get these high spread totals, especially against Cincinnati, a team that can put up points, but they haven't lit the world on fire just yet. I think my favorite bet of the week right now. Oh God, it hates me to say it. Cleveland. I mean, just giving them so many points against Baltimore, who's every game's been close at the end of games, just to give them basically almost a touchdown at the beginning of the week. It's just such a tough bet to make if you're betting on the Ravens. So I like Cleveland to keep it close. Divisional games, teams that run the ball. The Ravens like to run the ball, as do the Browns. It's going to be a tough game, and then it's going to be close at the end is how I see it. So that's probably my favorite bet at the moment. We'll see how the week progresses and how the lines shift, but that's my favorite pick of the week. And, thank you again to everybody for joining us. This is Band of Bettors. You can follow us on Twitter at Band of Bettors and Alloy Sports at Alloy Sports. We'll be pushing out some great insights as the week progresses into week 7 and Thursday Night Football. We can't wait for that. So follow us on Twitter, follow us on social, and good luck on all your week 7 bets for this coming week.